But I like getting you laughing first and then hitting this whole record button. But I'm gonna start straight away with the joke, and we'll get right on into the show. Okay. Now I
All
gotta
right, I'm
pull that
expecting
up.
this to be good.
Well, set your bar low, sir. You'll never be disappointed.
Okay, good advice.
There's a lady. She's at the supermarket. She's locked herself out of her car. Oh my goodness, voice crack. She's locked herself out of her car. Man comes along, says, "You need help?" She says, "Absolutely, I locked myself." Gets in there, unlocks it with ease, and she is so grateful. She gives him a big old hug and thank you, Lord, for sending this man to help me in this time of need. Right? Sending this wonderful good man. He's like, "Ma'am, I just got out of prison for boosting cars." And so she steps back, looks at him, hugs him again. "Thank you, Lord. You sent me a professional." All right, see, that right there is when you get out the casino and you just start the show.
Hey, let's do it.
All right, welcome back to Urban Academia with myself, Jay Zilla, and of course, the one, the only Chulo Rich. What's up, Mr. Rich?
What's happening, Jack?
Same thing that's always happening. We're gonna talk today about celebrity lawsuits and court troubles. Diddy, Tyler Perry, Fat Joe. What's going on in my throat? What's going on there? See, did I cover that up nicely? We're going to talk about also Bernie Sanders and other independents and Democrats who seem to have done a full 180 on how to talk to us regular folk, right? But first, let's start with war, shall we? Shall we start with war?
Let's do it.
What the frap is going on with President DJT dropping bombs on people?
I don't know. I can't tell you I saw that coming from him. Um, I do know it's a good strategy for making money. He's a businessman, but I really didn't see that coming from him. I really didn't see him getting too deep in real politics, and other people's business. I knew he was gonna mess with ours, but I ain't really seeing mess with nobody else's. So it's a shot.
Okay, and it's funny you said that because he has been talking for about 20, 30 years about how Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon, which is what people have been saying for the last 30 to 40 years, right? You can go all the way back. Miss Phil, y'all, we can call her by name. Miss Phil, y'all, I know, Miss Phil, y'all, I know you watching. She's the lady, she's our favorite, right? We love her to death. And she is not shy about calling anybody out for anything at any given time,
Not at all.
right? And so
Not at
she had
all.
a post that says something to the effect of essentially, "Hey, listen to all of these people who've been talking about how dangerous uh, Iran is or Iran." I'm not sure how to say it. I'm gonna say Iran. So I pointed out to her that like that clip showing all these people talking about that, and these people have had the consistent viewpoint of, "Hey, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon," right? And so the point she was making was nobody was saying anything then. Now all of a sudden, President DJT gets out here and does what he does. Now all of a sudden everybody has a problem with it. And I don't know if I succeeded or failed, and Miss Phil, y'all get in the comments, let me know. But my whole goal with my subsequent commentary is that one, people have been saying this. There's always been opposition to people saying this. You know, we should stay out of people's business. America first. Let's stop meddling in other countries' affairs and regime change and all this stuff. There's always somebody on the other end of an issue, right? The other part is some of the work DJT's predecessors have done has been to avoid what everybody seems to agree on: Iran having a nuclear weapon. And so I hope she gets in the comments and let me know how I did with that. But Rich, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like people are kind of flip floppy when it comes to DJT?
I think it's him, and I think it's his fault. Um, you ask dude a question, and he sounds like somebody with a seventh grade education sometimes. So you maybe people feel like you're not qualified to get in their business. I don't know. Um, I know I wouldn't want him interfering personally with my household if somebody asked him a question about, hey, how do you think Rich should conduct his business in his household? I don't think I would want him putting his hands on it. I think he messed something up. You know, would I ask him about a business deal? Of course. I respect what you do. Um, Anybody, you know what I mean? If you got a craft and you good at it, I respect that. But yeah, answering questions and giving thought-provoking answers, I really don't think that's your strong suit. It's just me.
That's fair. I would be curious about how he raises his kids, though. I mean, by all
Yeah,
accounts, they seem to really love him.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
yeah, they do. But, you know, a lot of stuff seems different ways, especially for entertainers and on TV. You know, they got fixers and they got people telling them how they need to act and respond. And, you know, he seems to be the only one who can't follow the direction of whoever's telling them what to do. You know, the rest of the family stays out of the headlines. They stay quiet. You know, it's just this guy.
So yeah, but he's never been a person to stay quiet, stay out of the limelight, and
It's
he's
true.
absolutely nailed it. So Dave Chappelle called him an honest liar, right? He's in a debate with Hillary Clinton, and he waltzes over and was like, uh, ask her why she won't change the tax code, or any of her Democratic friends won't change the tax code. I'll tell you why. Well, first off, can we just talk about the brilliance of like, ask her about this? No, I'll tell you. That's some black mama stuff, right?
It is.
What's
It
wrong with
is.
you? Quit, shut up, all that crying. Answer me. What do you want me to do? I'm so confused. So
Oh man.
yeah, so Dave Chappelle has this joke about him being an honest liar. He talks about the debate DJT had with Hillary Clinton. He says, I'll tell you why. Because she and her friends utilize this broken tax system. And I'll tell you how I know, because I do it. He just
It's
sitting there and
gangster.
said, I know it's rigged because I use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now we're at this moral versus illegal question, right? Is it
It's
illegal?
business.
Well, I'm talking about DJT as a whole. Is it illegal to cheat on his wife? No. Is it illegal to have some contracts, have them build half, let that company go file for bankruptcy? Don't have to pay the first contractors. Hire another contracting company, right?
And
Let them
rest of
finish
it.
it, file for bankruptcy again, and then his third company owns the finished work.
Oh man, it's gangster.
Is that illegal? No,
It's
no.
strategy.
Right. Tax write offs, all these things. He talked about it openly. And I think that's very refreshing, but refreshing should not have you give this person power, right?
This is true. This is
Like,
true.
we're not, you're at a party, everybody's chill, it's beautiful women, the drinks are flowing, whatever y'all are doing, it's music, it's food, whatever. Baller conversation. Some ignorant person comes in, they've crashed the party for one thing, they have violated the dress code, and they're loud and obnoxious, right? No one is going to look at that and go, oh, how refreshing, something different, right? you're kicking that guy out. But what he does showcase is how wrapped up our systems are. Like, I don't want to talk about
when he
individuals
wants to.
anymore. Right. I don't want to talk about individuals anymore. I want to talk about our systems. And this Iran thing, I need people to also be honest about something, okay? And I'm probably going to sound crazy with my skin complexion, with the things that I talk about on our platforms, but he has closed, like actually closed the border. Crime has gone down, right? He has actually bullied other countries into signing some deals with America, kind of reworking our whole trade deal, you know, environment. He bombed Iranian nuclear facilities because he said they had weapons. But they said, sir, every one of the UN inspectors and our own inspectors, our own spies, no one is saying that they have a weapon. And he simply says, he's talking about, I think, Tulsi Gabbard, who's the head of all this stuff. He says, I don't care what she says. What? What? Then what are you going off of? You're going off the Israeli prime minister. Okay. But he's been saying, Iran is 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon for 30 years. I am not over exaggerating. For 30 years, there's clip after clip after clip of him saying, and they're this close to a nuclear weapon, that's why we need to wipe them off the face of the earth. It's like, but no, that was never true. Probably not true this time. But he drops the bombs anyway, because he does what he wants. And all this talk about, well, he didn't go through Congress, and this is an act of war. Obama did it, Clinton did it, Bush definitely did it, right? We did it all the way back. We were bombing daggum Cambodia. Biden signs the PACT Act, which gives veterans who were secretly over in Thailand and all these other places, who they were building bombs, they were working with Agent Orange, which was illegal for the world, right? And what they would do is, I know a guy in particular, he's based out of Thailand, and he gets back, and he's asking for his, his veterans, his Vietnam badge and his benefits, and they said, no, you were never there. He says, what do you mean? I was definitely there. Nope, you were never there because we were never there. Biden signs the act, changes that, now all these vets get all the benefits they should have gotten in the first place, right? So now we know all the way back to Vietnam and beyond that we have always kind of gone around, like presidents have always gone around Congress to bomb some people, okay? So I don't want to hear anything from the left about, oh, he's not doing protocol. Like, at what point do you wake up to, I'm not doing protocol anymore? Like, right. At what point do you catch up to that fact? But anyway, so he bombs them, and then he says, now it's time for peace. It's like, can we just appreciate for a moment? Like, take morals and everything out of it and just bask in the glory of this guy bombed 3 of their facilities and then called for peace. Have you ever had somebody known a story about somebody shooting up somebody's house and then walking through their front doors like, all right, now we need to work this out peacefully? Ever? Have you ever heard of a thing?
I'm really thinking, but no.
Like, bro shot up the party, pulled a circle, came back around, got out the car, and said, all right, now let's talk peace. No one has ever seen this before, okay? So what does Iran do in response? They call them up and say, hey, clear out your embassy in Qatar or Qatar. We're going to bomb it. We're going to bomb your U.S. embassy in Qatar, and, but we're going to give you fair warning to get everybody out so there are no casualties, and then we'll talk peace. Because they're all doing some version of a play. They're all just illusions. Like, I got to look, hey, man, you shot up my house. Now you're talking about peace. I got to do something, right? So clear your people out. I'm going to bomb it, and then we'll come to the table. And now there's a ceasefire. So if Trump gets this done, where he is bullying countries into making better trade deals, right? He is signing deals to get companies to come back, bring their factories back to America. He's working on something to cap AI so we don't have AI taking a bunch of jobs, which is going to happen anyway, right? If he's got people saying we need to take the garbage out of our food, right? And he does peace in the Middle East, Rich, I don't care how you voted, he gets the Nobel Peace Prize, right?
That I respect his business vernacular. Like the man does good business. I never thought he didn't do good business. It's just a
Slow
real
down,
messy individual.
let's slow down on good business, right? Because again, we're back to morals versus legality. Was it legal for him to do those things to those companies and stiff all those other construction workers? Yes. Was it right morally? No.
Depends on who you ask. I don't know, man.
No, ain't no depending on who you ask.
There's
The
a lot of
ideal
people
is
sitting at the top of that hill
no, no,
with
no,
the
no, 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 no.
same
And
how they
this
get
is what I
there.
want to change. This is what I want to change. Hey, I didn't break any laws. I don't frap and care. What you did was wrong. So I want the laws changed. For me, it's
Well,
that simple.
that would be the only way to do it. You have to make it
Yeah,
black and white. As long as there's a gray area, people are
yeah,
allowed to do what they want to do.
right. So okay. Um, global warming, right? I don't know what name they're calling it now, but basically global warming. My stance on this is if it's not happening, fine. Let's put that name away. But there are two issues with the global warming issue. On the global warming alarmist side, people who are saying it's real, we got to do something about it. There's a lot of money to be made by companies who make paper straws, who have low energy and pollution output, so on and so forth, right? So that kind of makes me raise an eyebrow on why you're fighting so hard for to push global warming. On the other side, you're saying global warming is a hoax. Okay, fine, but you understand that the initiatives that we're trying to accomplish under the guise of helping global warming is literally saying that companies need to not dump toxic waste into our oceans, into our rivers, our drinking water, into our topsoil, right? So that makes me raise a little eyebrow there. So my thing about bringing this stuff to the middle is, okay, fine, global warming is a hoax, but is it good for a company to try to increase profit by decreasing regulation so they can increase dumping pollution into our groundwater, our ocean and rivers, our lakes, and the air? Is
For
that good
us,
or bad?
well, uh, I used to love McDonald's food. It's changed a lot over the years because they did
Yeah,
exactly what you just said, and a lot of that garbage is is the food. It's pumped into us, but
yeah,
I'm guaranteed their profit margin went up.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know if their wages followed. I'm just kidding. They didn't follow. The
They
wages didn't
did.
follow.
They
So okay,
did.
so yeah, this whole Iranian thing is crazy, and a lot of people are saying that like, oh, he's gonna start World War III, but he seems like he may be ending it if he's able to get them to come to the table and sign a long-term agreement that one, no nuclear weapons in Iran, and two, Israel stop frapping bombing people, or we're gonna pull your daggum funding and your resources and American support. And I think that's fair.
Well, ain't that one of the things they do in politics is create a problem that they already got an answer for and then solve it?
There have been some red herrings. I mean, literally, JFK, I think he got a report from the CIA saying, hey, there's a few Americans in this region. If we bomb them, then we could blame it on them, on the Cubans, and go in and invade and kill Fidel Castro.
Mhm.
He was like, no, what the frap are you saying right now? What the frap you mean bomb them? And what the frap has been going on around here for y'all to even bring that to me with that confidence? How many times have y'all done this? Right? right? Then he gives a speech talking about, apologizing to the Cubans for, Bay of Pigs. Excuse me, for Bay of Pigs, hey, our bad on that. And also, we need to talk about these secret societies. We need to talk about the things behind the politicians and these dark secretive powers. And then he ends up dead, shot dead in Dallas. The president of the United States says there's a secret group of people working in the shadows of government and pulling the puppet strings. And we need to end this. And he literally got shot not too long after that.
I mean, the actual problem is never really dealt with. You know what
The
I mean?
actual
There's always a
problem is never
storyline.
dealt with.
Yeah, the actual problem is never really dealt with. Anytime we have a conversation like this, I always go back to Constitution says we're three-fifths of human being.
Oof.
Like until you fix the actual base of the problem, moving on and creating a new storyline is pointless. Well, it's not pointless. It's pointless to me, but to the overall public, you give them a new topic, people move on.
Yeah. There's a guy, he's a bit much for me, right? If you read his book, you'll understand. But he's got a book out that's called Bad Law: 10 Popular Laws That Are Ruining America, right? And he kind of breaks down like if we were to change just these 10 laws, like everything gets better for everybody. So why are they not changed? And he talks about that as well. His name is Ellie Mistal. So as I was, I do the audible stuff because who has time to sit and read anymore? But as I'm listening to this book, and he's breaking down exactly how things work as a lawyer, for many years, and I think now he's moved into author and public speaking. But he's breaking down, I mean, in a very easily digestible way, exactly why these laws, how these laws came to be, how they hurt us, and what we can do to change them. And I want more of that because people not understanding the history of U.S., Iran relations, I think starts to make things a little worse because now I'm just going off of what one person says in Donald Trump or another person says in, Chuck Schumer or somebody like that, which again, I don't see red or blue anymore. I just see purple. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying for us at this show, I think we could be fair enough to say if this explodes and prices go crazy and unemployment shoots through the roof and crime raises, right? If he gets us into another Middle Eastern war or, starts World War III, then yeah, you're absolutely right. How dare you? You're a fascist, all blah, blah, blah. But if we start to see those things get better, and he brings real peace to the Middle East. You got to give it up to him, man. And I think that'll bring us into our next topic. People on the left and middle, like Bernie Sanders. He's an independent, even though he caucuses with Democrats. But I need people being willing on the left, being willing to give props where props are due. I think that's fair. I
I do
know,
think that's fair. I
yeah,
don't see how he's gonna get in the middle of a argument that's been going on since the beginning of time, smack somebody around, and then bring peace. That don't make sense to me.
yeah. So when I did weapons training, we had a drill sergeant and a veteran captain from the local police department here come in and basically train us how to use weapons and gave us different scenarios. We had this big old projector screen and these like sort of almost like duck hunt type guns, right? So when we pull it, when we shoot, right? So essentially, the first thing you do is use your voice. Hey, stop, right? Definitely do it better than that. Hey, stop. Stop doing what you're doing, criminal. Right? If they don't listen, unbuckling your weapon without even taking it out, just unbuckling it, putting your hand to your side and unbuckling your weapon. That's a show of force. The next show of force is I'm going to pull my weapon, but you always pull it to a low ready, right? Because the first rule of weapons
You
is
you didn't learn this at home?
say again. No, and I had never held a
I learned
military
this at
training.
home. My mother would
Yeah,
come in, she'd be like, "Stop." And if I didn't stop, she'd reach down to her waist to where that belt was,
right,
unclasp it.
right.
She didn't have to take it off. She just would unclasp it. I knew,
I
okay, I
like
need
it.
to calm down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially the same thing, right? Yes, I did learn that at home. Now that I'm thinking about it. But the ideal is this was a show of force. At any given time, I can roll up into your country and bomb three different sites and then bounce without losing an ounce of sleep. Nobody was harmed on the US side. Like, yeah, that was an extreme show of force. Before that, this man was saying, I know exactly where you are. It would be so easily to take you out. Never heard a president do that before, right? And I think what what people are looking at is like, oh, that's how you show leadership. That's a true, strong leader. Except presidents before him were able to get them to come to the table and sign deals, right? Because what Teddy Roosevelt said back in the day was America is a superpower. So we need to know how to speak softly and carry a big stick. He didn't have to go and say, I could kill you so easily. He didn't have to show up and bomb a few places. I mean, they didn't have bombs, but attack places in people's countries and roll back and then brag about it the next day in the papers. Because it was understood that if America wanted to, we can do work. We can get into some wet work, and you're not going to like it because we're the best at it. You guys can put the next 10 armies together, and you still won't be able to match us, right? So instead, this seems, again, this is why I said this seems like theater
It's a
because,
show. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing a different version of speak softly and carry a big stick. He went, use
Yeah.
the stick first.
But he is the show. He's always been
He
the
is the
show.
show.
You know what I
Always
mean?
been.
So I don't expect nothing different out of him just because he's got this office. You know what I mean? He's still the
Yeah.
same guy.
And I forget, like, he campaigned on this stuff, you know? Again, I don't know how I feel about it just yet. I'm waiting for more results. But do I like how he's doing it? No, but I'm hoping for the best because the best results for him are the best results for us as
That's true.
Americans.
That's
Yeah.
true.
We're not going to talk too much about the Supreme Court decision that's allowed him to deport anybody with a criminal record. Did you hear anything about that?
I have not, but being the situation I'm in, I better be quiet. I don't know. I don't want no smoke.
So,
I know that.
so yeah, they just ruled on they made their decision saying that the president of the United States does have the right to deport anyone with a criminal history. It does not clarify immigrant, illegal immigrant, or anything, terrorist, nothing. Just anyone with a criminal record. And as soon as the
That's nice.
Supreme
Where you
Court
go?
came, huh?
Where are you sent?
Well, ask those people who got sent to El Salvador who have never been there before. It don't frapping matter. You know, Florida is building a Alcatraz like detention center. They're
Don't
gonna
shock me.
fill the water, the surrounding waters, with alligators.
Don't shock me.
You can't make this up. Like this sounds like a TV show. Where are they gonna send him? Wherever the frap he decides, apparently.
Cold
But
blooded.
it is interesting that soon as that the Supreme Court came out with that decision, he started talking crap about Obama. He was like, I don't know what you guys think. Like he doesn't sound very patriotic right now. We should look into it. What the frap does that mean? What the frap does that mean? As soon as you get the power to ship anybody out with a criminal history, you
But how
start
does that
going at
work
Obama.
though? When your criminal history, never mind. All right.
President, they also ruled the Supreme Court that he stacked. The president can't be arrested or found guilty of a crime, something like that. So yeah,
But
yeah,
that doesn't get rid of your history, though, right? It's still
no,
there.
it's still there, but
Okay,
who cares?
just check.
He's a person who's like, I don't have to care about what people think. Matter of fact,
Yeah, I mean,
crap
yeah,
what
that's
people
true.
think,
That's true.
right? They literally said, "Hey, you got this allegation and you settled. Like, what's that about? Fake news." And he just keeps on moving. What do
That's
you
the
do against
father in the
something like that?
household. My
Right.
my father used to say, "Hey, man, do as I say, not as I do."
Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, that's it. So, Bernie Sanders and other Democrats and people on the left and independents like him are now, first of all, they're on all kinds of talk shows, right? Bernie Sanders sat down with the Flagrant 2 podcast as well as the Joe Rogan uh, podcast, right? And he's saying some interesting things. Your thought on this switch from people on the left who are now saying, it doesn't matter if you're, gay, trans, whatever. It don't matter if you're black or white. Like, what do you stand for, right? This is the messaging. You see Pete Buttigieg doing the same thing. Um, not being, I always say Ben Shapiro, Governor Shapiro, Josh Shapiro, I think in Pennsylvania, saying something similar. You got Fetterman, who is, talking out loud about what Israel and Trump did with Iran and praising it. This doesn't sound like your, yesterday's liberals. What do you think is going on there?
It's hard for me to even speak on that, man. Things have been changing for a long time. I don't necessarily like the direction things are going with some of the change. I'm, I think I would say I am an old-fashioned liberal. Um, yeah, I like for things to be a certain way. Once they start getting funny, I remove myself from the room. Yeah, I don't like too much fluffiness. I don't like too much. I can jig with you and with you. I don't necessarily want to mingle too much. I don't have a problem with you or you. Just don't want to mingle too much.
Yeah, personal preference. That's fine. But okay, one of the things that it bothers me about it is that if you are out here rah 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 and putting your pronouns in your profiles, these are government officials who did this. They lose the election. Now they start to take the pronouns down. Now they're talking about like, well, it doesn't really matter, your your gender or preference in a sexual partner. None of that matters. What matters are the issues, right? On one hand, it's like, well, I'm glad to see y'all shift to some issues, right?
Yeah,
But what the frap was all that last election
yeah,
then?
yeah, yeah.
So what y'all just said is that y'all did all that in order to appear a certain way when you thought it was going to win you an election. As soon as
Right.
it didn't, you're pivoting now, right?
Yeah, you can't show me all type of stuff about your character and
You
then
can't.
all of a sudden just act like, well, that don't matter
Yeah,
anyway. What would you show me for?
right. Now on the right, saying that they care about God and then and then creating tax cuts for the ultra wealthy and then increasing our taxes, that ain't right either, right?
It's definitely not right,
Right.
but you talking morals again,
Talking morals
but
again.
that matters to a lot of people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that it doesn't matter to. Um,
Hmm.
and I happen to think that those are the people that are higher up on this higher. Um, I'm sorry, the people that are on higher ups in business, different fields. I think a lot of times when you get that high up, sometimes your morals decrease.
Mm.
Just kind of is what it is.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I would want to tell our audience is that okay, we finally cracked the case. It turns out that politicians believe their number one goal is to be reelected, not to serve us to the best of their ability, not to do what's right for the country as a whole. Um, not to uplift people, out of poverty, not to better our, citizens and give them a fair chance. You guys just admitted that on the left with those types of moves, and now you're speaking totally different. You guys on the right have been saying one thing and doing another for forever, right? Trump says he's the least racist person on the planet, but he can't really define why it is that particularly Mexican immigrants bother him, right? Because if you say crime, they commit around less the crime than homegrown citizens. If you say where they're leeching off the system, man, they just I'll have to look this up again, but the top 10 companies in the US, right, at the time, or the top tax-paying companies at the time, if you combine what they paid in taxes, the corporations, talking Apple, Google, places like this, um, illegal or undocumented immigrants paid more in taxes than the top 10 companies or corporations at the time combined. So it can't be that, right? Because if that were true, you'd be hitting these corporations as well. So then it becomes about like, okay, so tell me why is it that you have a problem with this particular group? Because you're running out of excuses. You claim to have closed the border. There is zero illegal immigrants getting in the country. Okay, cool. You rounded up all the gang affiliated illegal immigrants, shipped them out of here. Okay, let's say that's true. So now you're going to Home Depot and Walmart and trying to catch people at daggum L.A. Dodgers baseball games. What happened? What are we doing? What are
Well,
we
he got
doing
to
here?
keep his fan base.
Yeah,
He has a fan base,
yeah,
and I think traditionally in the United States, it's black versus white. He didn't want to go that
mm,
route, so he just picked on somebody else. I don't think he
yet.
cares about Mexicans one way or another. I just think he had to have something to
He's
stand on
playing to
for
his
his fan
crowd.
base. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's playing to his crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I mean that's definitely a problem. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, if they're paying $96 billion in taxes, right? If they're committing half as much crime as homegrown citizens, you know what I mean?
Just an easy
And
target.
and and not to mention, if unemployment for Americans went to zero, right? And over half of those people got two jobs, there will still be millions of job openings. How do we fix that problem without immigration? How do we fix that problem without allowing people to come over to Harvard and Yale and go to school from other countries and us try to trick them? I mean, incentivize them to stay here, right? Keep that degree that you just earned here in America. Use the skill set for America, you know? Like it, I don't understand how you fix all of that at once without having some moral backbone.
I don't think it ever gets fixed. I think they're doing exactly what they want to do, and they're going to continue to do that. I think that the couple people that, and I say couple, I don't mean that offensively. I mean that in the sense of sometimes in war, you got casualties. These people are casualties. Um, at some point in time, all this will end. It'll be
Mm,
forgotten about. Um, and the people that were sent off will just simply be casualties of his war. That's what he chose
yeah,
to do to appeal to his fan base. That's how I see it.
yeah, yeah. I think you're spot on. But I think what this does to everyday Americans is now that we know who the Republicans are, now that we know who the Democrats are, and I'm saying that facetiously. Okay, we've always kind of known, right? Like I said, I don't see blue or red anymore. I just see purple. But what this does do is it has forced the hand of the DNC and prominent candidates like Buttigieg or Sanders or AOC or Jasmine Crockett, all these folks, to really focus in and talk about the issues. And for Bernie Sanders, his issue has been the same for going on 40 years now, which is the ultra rich keep getting richer at the expense of us. Simple.
I'm surprised he's still alive.
Man, like there's a funny picture of him. I might have to try to dig it up, but it's of him getting arrested while marching with the black folks, right, in Chicago. And like, I wish I had my producer with me today. That is a hilarious picture, but he's been at it for a long time. Like that was in the '60s. You know what I mean? This is before
I'm
civil
surprised he's still
rights.
alive.
Yeah, yeah. And so what he's talking about is like, let's take a deep breath and let's talk about how we can get people educated. Because the stats show that if you are educated to a certain level, your life is better. Who knew? You live longer, right? You make more money, you have more assets, you have way less mental health issues and physical health issues, right? Just by virtue of having education. And it doesn't mean a 4-year degree at a university, right? It could be a trade, whatever. If you have something to that effect, if you have a skill set and know how to do a job somewhere, you're statistically more likely to have a healthier, happier, longer life. So that's the first thing he's talking about. He's also talking about, you know, food and water. We got to clean it up. We know what this stuff does to us. So we got to do something on behalf of the American people, right? He's talking about housing. There's no way that any American, because they live in the richest country in the history of the world, should be without protection from the environment. And of course, healthcare, right? They're talking about these issues more and more. And I think this is going to bring more people to the table and pay attention more. And hopefully we vote better next time, right? Especially since you have a guy just joking, right? Joking about running for a third term or being king and things of that nature, right? Every time he says that, people say, "Oh, he's just joking. Come on, he's not really serious." Let Obama have said, I'm actually thinking that I got the country going in the right direction. Maybe I'll just run for go against the Constitution and run for a third term. They would have lost their minds. True or false?
Definitely true.
So
Definitely
okay,
true. They would have found some kind of way to arrest him. You got to go to jail,
right. So
deported, something.
right. So I built or built got this idea for the 7 pillars of any good society. Right? They're based off the 7 pillars of Christ, which for you Bible folks can put
Man,
that
I
in
was just thinking that.
Ephesians.
I was just thinking, why
Yeah.
don't we have like a 10 Commandments for the place that we live in? That's something that's structured that no president, no dictator, nobody can come outside of.
You mean the Constitution of the United States of America?
Man, ain't nobody following that. I just told you it say we 3/5 of human being. I don't pay that no attention, and
They
they don't either.
amended it. Come on. Think about the amendments. You got the 13th, the 14th. Come on, man. We're doing all
I don't
right.
care if you amend it. Amend to me means go back, take that book, put something else in. You know what I mean? Say it the way you meant it.
Hmm.
Unless you said it the way you meant it. You
Well, they
already
definitely said
did.
it the way they meant it,
Right.
right? I mean, you got people like Jefferson back in the day saying slavery is like having a wolf by the ears. We can't afford to let it go, nor can we afford to continue to hang on to it, right? So he said it right there. We must stop slavery, and also we can't,
But we got to be careful. I get it. I get it.
right? I mean, and that's Jefferson. He was a slave owner, like Washington and many others. But that concept of like Bible literally talks about moving in fear. That sounds very fearful. Like, yeah, ooh, if we let the slaves go, like they're
What you
gonna
think they're gonna do?
revolt and kill us all.
Exactly.
Well, why do you think that, sir? Is that what you would do in that situation? Is that what
No,
you have done
no,
in that situation? Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Talking about a wolf.
So I'm just talking about a wolf. Hey man, like can we talk about why the frap you jumping behind wolves and grabbing them by the ear in the first place?
Gotta
Maybe
do what
don't
you
do
gotta do.
that. But you got the wolf now. Like you can't hang on to it forever. You're gonna have to let it go. So figure it out. Which, as a country, I think we have. But seven pillars of Christ are one body, one spirit, one hope, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God the Father. So based off of that, I say the seven pillars of a good society are food, water, shelter, naturally, health care, education, transportation, and of course security. Every single I want people to stop talking so much about oh the rich are doing this and that. Like I want the rich to get richer. How about that? I want our ceiling to be wide, the frap open. I want Elon Musk and all these guys to try to figure out Mars travel or, intergalactical travel or daggone, mining. What do you call it? There's some projects out there where they're trying to figure out how to mine some of these asteroids that have a lot of raw materials on them. Right? We don't have to go to Africa anymore, or India, or Iran. We can go to space. Latch on
I
to
got
a daggone
get rich.
asteroid and
Just don't be a dirt ball.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and then that's the other part, right? I want the ceiling to be wide open, but I want the floor raised. You better daggone raise the floor. Like look what happened in France and any other country that was been top heavy. What happens? You starve them enough, your own dogs will turn and eat you. Right? So I'm trying to help you out, rich person. Make a lot of money, but help to raise the floor. Every single American should not have to worry about food, water, shelter, health care, education, how I'm going to get from place to place, or security, right? I think that's fair. So these are the same things that Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg are now going to shows like Flagrant 2, Brilliant Idiots, Breakfast Club, and Joe Rogan. Places before they were like, oh no, we can't go there because they're too radioactive. It's like, you know who black people listen to the most? What would you say the number one podcast for black people are? I'm
Because I
trying to
know
be
it's not
quick.
gonna be anything I think it is. Yeah, I know it's not gonna be anything I think it is.
Help me out,
But
audience. Do, do, do. Do,
uh
do, 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 do.
since I don't know what it is, I'm just gonna shout out the Breakfast Club and 85 something. Hopefully we can see y'all one day.
Oh man. Oh man, for real. That'd be huge for us. But they pale in comparison to the Joe Rogan podcast.
I knew it was gonna I have no interest. But hey man, shout out Joe Rogan. You know.
It's like, so, okay, if I were to tell you that it's the most watched podcast, it has been for a few years now. He's dipped and then gone back up, dipped, gone back up, but he's basically him. If if I was a politician and I said I want to go where the people are so they hear my very important message, why on earth would I not go on that show?
I mean, you're definitely gonna go where you know you're gonna be heard. Uh, it's just a shock to me that so many people are listening to the opinion of, you know, I think like-minded people are supposed to be there listening. But why my dad, my granddad, my auntie, my sister, my brother is taking that opinion, I have no clue. I have no clue.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're disingenuous when you say I don't even know if I said that right.
It
Right. You're
sounded right.
not genuine. You're not genuine when you say you have a very important message that every American needs to hear, and you're going on CNN that may pull 3 million viewers.
Right.
Right. Joe Rogan every month. Looking at the numbers now, got on my Google fingers. He has about 16 to 24 million downloads per month. Per month. His shows are 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 hours long and has the largest retention of anybody. That means people are Lis- listening to these conversations, like 3 to 4 hours, 16 to 24 million people, right? And it's 80% men. But with those kind of numbers, I guarantee you women listen too. He leads as far as all race categories. So if you want to talk about race relations or, you know, what different races and protective groups should be doing, that's the show you go on. Before they
Makes sense.
said they can't because he's a bad, bad guy. And now all of a sudden they're all on him, right? So what I want people to pay attention to is that yes, it may seem hopeless. I mean, they're the government. They're the ultra rich folks. How can we make a real change? Stuff like that. We can literally say to them, we're gonna take your job if you're not gonna do what we asking for." We can literally say to Coca-Cola, "Hey, back another daggum candidate that's talking about raising my taxes and see what happens. Let's just see what happens." Coke by itself, I'm looking up how much they make per day, right? It's kind of a roundabout number, but you're talking about 1.9 billion drinks per day. Okay, and I guess in 2020, Coca Cola's daily earnings were around $90.4 million per day. Per day. How much money do you think Coke will have to lose before they decide to change who they back in elections? Is it one day's worth? Well, if we said we're not going to drink Coke, we're not going to drink Coke for a whole year unless they, back good policy, right? If I say 90, it's 90.4. We'll just say 90 times 7. Whew, Lord have mercy. That's $630 million. What happens if we take a week off from buying Coke products all across the U.S.? Do you think they're
Coke
going to be okay
develops
with
another
losing?
product.
Coke develop another product? You could try. You could try. That's one thing I do like about the internet, that people are aware of these things now,
Right.
right? Politician could come on and, "Hey, I was in the army. I am married. I care about you." And they go, "Hooray, vote." Then he gets in there and does whatever he wants, whatever the corporations or through the lobbyists tell them. But now we get to see it. Now you can easily Google and pull up what Coca-Cola makes, who they back in elections, like uh, which particular candidates from local, state to federal government. We can look that up now. All of us, each one of us can look that up now. Everybody's got a cell phone. If you don't have a cell phone, you got legs. You can walk to the library, your local library. That's one of their services. Free internet. If you don't have legs, roll on over there. Dadgummit. You don't have arms and fingers to type. Frappin', they got talk to text now. We're out of excuses. We're out of excuses. So all I'm saying is, what we have proven with these elections is that there's still power in people. So now let's figure out how to use it, right? He's like, I mean, this is one. This is a
Sounds
time
good.
for one of those, right? This is time for one of those, like, hey man, it's all pimping, you know. Like once you understand that, you understand a lot. You understand the pimp game. You know how to navigate it and avoid it. Let's do more of that, right?
I think, so when it comes to the conversation you having, we on the other end of the spectrum. We're on the opposite end of the spectrum as the pimp. So uh, those that don't want to be chosen, that don't want to have to work that block, they stay low. They keep their eyes loud and they mind their business. I think that's you either gonna play or you're gonna keep your eyes low and mind your business. That's the only way to go about it.
I'm looking up right now. Listen, My algorithm is so jacked up. You don't know what to think, right? I'm looking up right now 10 organizations that help prostitutes, right? I'm going to say, I don't know, leave the life. All right. So here are 9 of the best charities that fight to end sex trafficking. Okay. And this
Magic
is
City.
this is he said Magic City for the lemon pepper wings, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Sexual exploitation makes up 80% of all human trafficking cases, and around 92% of its victims enter the industry through coercion and manipulation. 92%. That's wild. But that 8% is pretty wild too. Like, no, I just really enjoy this, right? Let me see. Consequently, many charities are now fighting to capture the traffickers and end this vicious cycle of struggle and risk that exposes vulnerable communities to abuse. So we had to ask, what are the best charities that fight to end sex trafficking? Right? And some of them are Shared Hope International, Polaris, Agape International Missions, International Justice Mission Plan, International Crisis Aid Coalition Against Trafficking in Women, the Exodus Road, Fair Girls. So these are 9 places that you can call. So if we're on the other end of the spectrum, right? Because it's almost like Star Wars for my Star Wars nerds, right? When it comes to the Sith or the dark side, there's never just one. There's always 2. Never more, never less. Right? There's the Sith master, and then there's the Padawan learner. Right? So what you're saying is, on one side there are pimps, the other side there are, we'll say, prostitutes. Right?
Professionals.
Professionals.
Pros.
Professionals.
There we go.
Gotcha. Pros. Right? There are pimps and pros. Right? And so if I was a pro, I could literally Google how to get out the life. And there are these organizations, these are the 9 best, but there are many, many more that'll help pick you up, ship you out, give you some clothes, training, detox, whatever. Right? So if we're going to keep with this analogy, I'm trying not to overcomplicate it, it may be too late. If we're to keep with this analogy, us as
Who you gonna
pros,
call?
who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah. So maybe that'll be the show moving forward. Trying to figure out who to call to get us out of this, this vicious cycle of proing out here. Right?
If only the Ghostbusters were real. Man.
But they would have to switch from busting ghosts to busting politicians
Yeah.
and ultra rich and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
So okay, final topic. Let's get into some celebrity lawsuits. Okay. Tyler Perry, Fat Joe, or Joey Crack, as you called him earlier, and then of course the Diddy trial. Where do you want to start, sir?
I don't know, man. With Cat Williams. Cat Williams said all of this was gonna happen, and it's happening. So shout out to Cat Williams.
Man, frap Cat Williams.
Hey man.
Frap out of here. Going from town to town saying something that's always been true. Like, the frap out of here. He's been doing this since the late 80s, early 90s. Like, frap out of here. Right? Get the frap out of here. There's too many jokes about Cosby back in the day. Too many jokes about R. Kelly. I mean, R. Kelly got mad at Dave Chappelle for doing that for doing that music video
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah.
And I think the joke goes,
I mean, those was
man,
his
how you
jokes,
gonna calling Dave Chappelle said, man, how you gonna have a video, make a music video about me peeing on girls? Like, how you gonna make a video? Right? Like, what are you talking
But
about?
see, those is just jokes, man. Once they found a way to make it financial and criminal,
There's
Floodgates.
always been a way to make it financial and criminal. Here is how the game works. Come on in, Diddy. You want to be one of us bigwigs, right? 100 millionaire to billionaire. Come on in, brother. We love you. You're one of us. Yeah, yeah, don't mind that. That's just some stuff we like to get into, but all great men do this. What's the problem? You want to be one of us, right? So he gets involved. And maybe they cut it off after a while. And so what does a crackhead do? You go procure it for yourself, right? My supplier won't sell to me anymore. All because I stole his mama's TV. Come on, man. Like, that's such a petty reason not to sell me this crack. So he has to go and find it for himself. In some cases, even try to make it for himself. Those stories, those situations have often gone terribly wrong, right? That's how you get people blowing themselves up trying to make their own meth. Okay, fine. Hey, we need you. Now he believes the hype. I'm one of you, so you're going to treat me with respect. And they say, oh, yeah, of course. All right, so I make a lot of money with you, Ciroc. I think I deserve more equity. They're like, no. Like, what you mean, no? That's what I'm owed. No. Okay, lawsuit happens. They cut ties. He wins, gets a few more $100 million, right? I don't remember the exact amount. But soon as that happens, all of a sudden, Diddy tape comes out, right? With him absolutely dog walking poor little Cassie, right? Then more stuff comes out. And then even more stuff comes out. And next thing you know, he is now facing RICO charges, right? And these are the charges you give to like mob bosses. So they are in court right now trying to prove him to be a mob boss. So for me, did Cat Williams call this? Or is it yet again somebody forgetting who they actually are and believing the hype that they belong to this upper echelon of people? Right up until the point that you say no to something or don't comply with things. Did Cat Williams call it, or is it just business as usual?
I think it's 50-50. I think he
50-50.
definitely can't take away that he said what he said. And got 5 to 6 cases of people who you never would have thought.
Man, frap Cat Williams.
Amen.
Weinstein, frapping Cosby, R. Kelly, all these things happened well before Cat Williams went on a podcast and said a bunch of stuff. Frap
You
Cat
are
Williams.
correct. You
I'm
are
not giving him
correct.
that much credit.
But I still go with he said it. It happened. It could have been something that was, common sense for a lot of people. But as we say, common sense ain't common. So
That's true.
who
Michael
knew?
Jackson has a cool idea to buy comic book rights. And he says, we can do all kinds of cool stuff. We can make merchandise and toys and TV shows and movie. It can even be a cool little shared universe, right?
I feel like you took on his voice for a minute. I don't know how you did it.
I think it was this. We could do so many cool things with it. We could do this, we could do that. Then all of a sudden, because he has the money to buy it, because at this point he owns the Beatles and all these other great artists' masters. And then all of a sudden allegations come out, and he has to spend a lot of his own money, right? So when you make a business deal, one of the rules is you never use your own money. I have a great idea as a billionaire. I'm going to go shop it to people so they can, donate to the cause, and then I'll do my great idea, right? That doesn't work with criminal court cases, right? If you want to fight me in business, I can go get a bunch of investors and fight you all day long if I'm Michael Jackson. But criminal court, that comes out of your own pocket because name a company that's like Pepsi, like, oh, we believe in Mike. We're going to give $100 million towards his legal fees. No, it don't exist. Don't exist. So he has to pay a lot of his money. What does he do to be able to afford to fight these allegations? Well, he has to sell off some of his equity. He has to give away some of the things he owns. Now all of a sudden he can't afford to. And then not too long later, there's a deal struck where You got you got Disney Company and other places buying up the rights of comic books and making movies and TV shows, selling merchandise. Right? This was well before Cat Williams. You don't believe me? Al Capone killed a lot of people, murdered a lot of people, but he was in primarily the bootlegging business, especially as he has a rise during Prohibition. Because as we all know, you make something illegal, you make it popular, right? Fair?
Yeah, yeah.
So you make
Make
something
it
illegal,
sound
make it
from what
popular.
you're saying.
Al Capone goes and goes and goes, and then he starts thinking, oh, I need to get out of the life. You know, by many accounts, Al Capone is talking about getting into legit ownership, much like the Italian mafia when they took that little dust ball of and made it Vegas, and then realized like, no, it's too much to run a business like this. Then they cashed out, and then corporations took over. But same thing happened. I made a lot of money doing illegal stuff. I greased the right palms, and as long as I played along, we got along, right? Same thing. So Al Capone was like, yeah, I could buy some restaurants and I making bread and all kinds of stuff, right? So he starts to walk away from some of his partners who are in some very important government and corporate locations. What happens next? Tax evasion. Man dies in prison. Where was Cat Williams then?
I mean, you're
Man,
absolutely
Frap
right.
Cat Williams.
Hey,
Frap Cat Williams. He went viral. Like, good job talking about this stuff. Frap
yeah,
Kendrick Lamar. You gonna take on the industry. No, you didn't. You took on Drake. Another black dude in the industry that's been lied to
yeah, I
his whole
hadn't.
life about what the industry is. Get the Frap out of here. Frap K. Dot. Yeah, I
I'm
said it.
giving him no credit. I'm giving him no
Yeah,
credit. But I'm not
yeah.
taking away my guy Cats. Cat can keep his credit, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. So
Uh,
this is one of those agree to disagree on. But yeah,
he
so
called.
same pattern. Same pattern, Rich. It doesn't matter whether the person is guilty of the crime or not, right? They are aware of the crime, whether it happened or not. And they leave it alone as long as they can make money off of you. But as soon as you say no to something, as soon as you sue them in court for hundreds of millions of dollars, or win another case over here, and you win the rights to open up your own studio, like Tyler Perry. Fat Joe is trying to get into some ownership positions. He rubs some people the long way, right? Diddy in his battle with Ciroc and other companies, same thing. Deshaun Watson,
Like you said,
right,
it's not new.
says I don't want to
It's not
play,
new. The
don't want to
man
play
was
for
just
you.
privy to some information behind the scenes. He knew
Who?
that we didn't know. Stuff started
Who?
coming out.
Who?
Think Cat knew about some of this.
Frap that we'll never know. We will never know because he had the opportunity. Like, hey man, P Diddy about to go to trial. That's what my
He didn't
sources
have
are
to.
telling me.
If he did all that, if he'd have had another problem.
So what did he actually say? This magical leprechaun of yours. What did he actually say?
Well, he said that this year specifically, a
Uh huh.
lot of people in high positions were going down for sexual deviance.
Uh
That's
huh.
exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that a lot of people in high power positions are going down for sexual deviance. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a business. So again, not saying whether these gentlemen are guilty or not, but the vast majority of lawsuits, that's around 90 to 97%, settle before trial. This means that only a small percentage of cases actually go before a judge or jury, right? So, like a personal injury case, for example, it's often reported that 95% or more settle outside of court. Now, this attorney, Bigsby, or Bigsby, one of them, he's almost famous now for calling up a celebrity, going, "Hey, Rich, yeah, I got this girl here said that you raped her, right?" And you're like, "What? No, I didn't." It's like, "Well, I'm about to put it out. She's about to come out and tell her story. This little female is about to stream a bunch of tears and snot bubbles talking about what you did to her. Or you could just go ahead and cut us a check for $10 million." And most of them say yes. It's no different than when Trump was like, I don't like what CBS said about me. We should look into it. We should look into that. And a lot of people was like, yeah, but he can't do anything to a news organization. But here's the thing. CBS or their, parent company was about to do a major merger. And when I don't know if you know this or not, but when they do those types of mergers at that level, you have to get it approved by the government. Who runs the government again? Who's currently president? So what do you mean he has no power to do anything against CBS? They start pulling reports on Trump, and then next thing you know, they got that merger deal done. What if they would have fought him? What would have happened then? Same thing. It's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Frapping Cat Williams. No, I'm just kidding. I love Cat Williams. Like, what he did was incredible. And anytime you can bring eyeballs to any situation is great, I think. But I think for a long time, this has been sort of the industry standard on if you're the bigger guy, here's what you do to the little guy.
I do agree with that.
This is why I can't stand Kanye. He did all that hooting and hollering about how the industry does with contracts and wait till I get my money right. He got his money right and went straight on to the other side. I asked the people, who's was in his label, how they like their contracts. You know what I mean? He had the chance to do it right. And what did he choose? He chose to be part of them. This is how Louis does it, right? This is how, JP Morgan does it. This is how the presidents do it. Okay, that's how I'm going to do it. Why? Because I want to be just like them. It's no difference than when slavery ended. Oh, I saw how the master was successful, so I'm going to do that same thing. So, yeah, I like the idea of giving him some credit, but like, hey, man, Cat called it. Like, get the frap out of here. It's been happening forever. Forever. Napoleon. Let's keep going back, Rich. Napoleon literally, they put out little leaflets that said that he was, basically under let's say vertically challenged. He was short. Everybody knows three things about Napoleon. That stupid hat, that putting his hand in his shirt, right, sideways, and then frapping him being short. Well, it wasn't true. He was average height for his age, for that time period. But what happened? He didn't want to sign some treaty, some deal. They put out a bunch of false information about him, right? Frapping Hitler. Yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. What they say about Christ. You know what I mean? What they say about Cleopatra and Antony. Oh, they worship demons and the devil, and we need to go over there and liberate him from Cleopatra's arms. Those were the senators during Roman times, just making stuff up in order to justify going over and handling this dude who had the nerve to tell them no.
That has all definitely happened. Now,
Cat Williams.
does that mean that you believe the allegations that are out, or you don't?
I don't think it's my place to. I wasn't there. I'm going to tell you.
You weren't any of these other places.
I'm going to tell you what I know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel you on that.
But my main point, and this is what people get bogged down. Well, is Diddy, going to walk or not? He'll probably get some, like, they've already, I guess, denied, pleading some of those charges down. They've denied dismissing any of those charges. So now they've kind of put all their eggs in one basket. So either he's going to go to jail for a very long time, or he's going to walk away from this. Because if you lump it in together, especially with the RICO case, you gotta show all four forms of RICO.
Which I don't think they did yet with him.
I mean, we're not on the jury, right? I mean, racketeering, right? There's a corrupt organizations that what is it? Yeah. The racketeering part, I think, may be the closest thing, right? Kidnapping. I mean, all of this is hearsay. There is no hard evidence, right? Do I think you did it? I don't know. right? It
I don't know. It
seems like he
depends
put
on how they
himself in a
do it.
bad position.
If whether they take corroboration as hard evidence or not, you know,
Yeah, but it's literally you've made it my word versus yours.
that
So
is that is what that is.
when Cassie says, "Yeah, I feel like he forced me to do a lot of stuff." Oh yeah, how? Well, I'm a jealous girlfriend, and I was afraid that if I didn't do it, he was gonna do it with some other woman. I don't know. I don't know if I can put that down as like, yeah, you forced her into it, right? Like that's tough, especially with the text messages like, "Ooh, I miss you so much. Oh man, like we should have, had a
I
freak
think
off before I left." That's
the
tough.
coercion was with money. I think the
Coercion
same
was with the
as
money.
some of the other people. You know, guessing he was
Yeah,
paying
but
for her lifestyle. She didn't want to lose it. This is a choice, but
those are some very muddy waters. Again, the ideal is how do we teach our sons not to put themselves in position like Diddy did, and how do we teach our daughters not to put themselves in positions like Cassie did? Because I will say she was very young when they got together, right? So there's a problem in itself,
parents,
But I would like to think my 20-year-old, if she meets up with a Diddy, is gonna be like, yeah, I'm good. I can make you a star. I'm okay.
back to Cat Williams. You got to tell
Okay.
him no.
Got to tell him no.
Those were his
Yeah.
words. Got to tell him no.
You got to tell him no. Cat Williams. So
Amen.
yeah. So yeah.
Gave out some
I'm
game.
so I'm with that. So Tyler Perry has got a case out. Many others do. So do of course we talked about Fat Joe. This Fat Joe thing is one that I know the least about. Give me a sort of overview of what he's being accused of, by whom,
From what
and
I
your personal
understand,
thoughts.
he has a hype man, and his hype man has put down a bunch of accusations about things that he's seen, been involved in. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think the problem is it's involving young girls
Hmm.
between 15, 17, 18. Uh, Obviously, 18 is right there at that line. It's morally incorrect, but still would be legal, but definitely has some 15, 16, 17 year olds. So that's the conversation. Who knows whether it happened or not, but this man is alleging seeing over and being involved in over 4,000 instances. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how he counted that high, but
So okay, Terrence Dixon, or TA, as he's known, is suing him, or is part of a $20 million lawsuit. How you come up with $20 million is crazy.
how you
Um,
come up with 4,000 instances is crazy.
which again, the Hippocratic Oath says to doctors, first rule, excuse me, first rule is do no harm, right? But they are obligated if they are around a medical emergency to assist in any way they can without causing further harm, breaking that first law of theirs. So okay, you saw the first thing and was like, oof, that's a little much. You saw the second thing, right? And then you saw 3,998 more things. At what point do you not have to be held accountable too? Because that's tough. Either you witnessed all these things and kept your mouth shut for some reason, right? Was it money? Which, as we know in these RICO cases, it don't take much. They were literally looking at everybody in the Diddy trial that who provided the daggum baby oil, and did they know what was going on? Because that's part of it. If I fly prostitutes across state lines, right, and I'm telling one person bring the baby oil, another person bring the cocktail of drugs, another person to bring whatever, right? Now every one of those people are now involved in the RICO case, which we haven't seen happen, right? Which makes me think he probably is going to walk from this. But yeah, that's the question for me. Like, at what point do we say either you're a disgusting criminal who got paid to keep your mouth shut and took that money and kept your mouth shut, or you're a liar? Like, both of these things seem to be very, I mean, paint you in a very bad light to me.
This is true. I mean, but you know, I think that's based off of morals that you have and also morals that I have. But
Mhm.
that don't. It's not true for every person. You
I
know.
am looking for universal truth, right? The way I've gone about it is, I've got my little cheat sheet, right? Spiritual goggles, biblical algebra. That works for me. And people who don't, have that cheat sheet, I get it. It's tough, but you have to make up your own criteria for how you're gonna you look at things and decide who to believe, who not to believe, and so on. But there is a universal truth, right? Either this actually happened or this did not happen, right? Or some weird middle ground to where it happened, but not like the way they saying, right? Because that was part of the Epstein Island stuff. His whole Operation Muddy Waters thing was I've got to get people who are guilty of this involved and people who are not guilty of this involved. So if something happens, no one can tell who is who, and that means everybody who's ever dealt with me, Jeffrey Epstein, now has to use their money, influence, power, whatever, to get me out of this crime, which happened before this last time, right? Where it was he was basically found guilty of this 2014, somewhere around there, maybe before, and the local government kind of had to go along with him, and his case just went away, right? So I don't know. I want to try to keep people's focus on how this works, whether these people are guilty or not, and then how to be able to distinguish between the two, and then what you can do about it. And that's where your pocketbooks and all that comes into play. Like, I'm not going to shop at stores who got rid of DEI initiatives. If you're saying at one moment that is very important to you, that yes, women and black people and LG plus community, we want to make sure they're welcome and get to work here without any issues and shop here without any issues. And then as soon as the guy says, you guys don't have to worry about that, boom, it's gone. Like, that raises an eyebrow for me, right? Is Diddy guilty? I don't know. But I do want everybody to understand that nobody said anything until he said no to very powerful people. Nobody gave a frap about Joe Rogan, by and large, until he started asking questions about ivermectin and what's in the what's in Pfizer's jab, right? Like, literally had him on here. He got COVID. Everybody made fun of him. He made a recovery video and said, "Yeah, I got over it relatively fast. Here's the things that I did." And what does CNN do? They cut some of that stuff out from the video. They literally put a filter over him, making him look sicker, almost gave him like a yellow tint. That's a real thing that happened. So, yeah, I want y'all to be able to recognize that and find ways to do this using your own discernment. But it does take a little bit of education, a little bit of study in these things. So, I don't know. Is Joey Crack guilty or innocent? Of his crime, I don't know. Of somebody definitely waiting for a long time to come out and say anything, and not even criminally, but for a $20 million check, that rubs me the wrong way. I'm sorry. So that's
And
where I'm at.
understand that it makes sense to me.
I don't know. All I know is that we try to figure this stuff out one by one. I hope we do a good job of it. Rich, give us a quick recap and the final word as per usual.
Uh, so we had a little conversation about Iran, about Trump, about the different parties involved in this situation. Try to remember that no matter what your opinion is, even going into the lawsuits, Diddy, Fat Joe, Tyler Perry, no matter what you really think, remember, we don't know. Aside from the fact that we don't know, you have to always remember, as we say all the time, remember to look up, because there's a reason why these things are happening. So try not to get so caught up on what's happening, and try to remember that there's a reason why it's happening. With that being said, common sense ain't common, and we enjoyed you. We love you. We'll be back next week with another one. Peace.
For you. For you. For you. For you. For you. For you. For you.
Vintage David Ruffin limelight, this thing